Hey, this is Miss Callahan. The first one I'm going to go over is earthquakes. Earthquakes, there's a couple of things for the final that you need to know. And like I said, this is a quick review, so please make sure you look at your notes. There is a focus, and that is where the earthquake actually begins, and it's up underneath the Earth's surface. Next, we talked about an epicenter, which is the point directly above the Earth's surface. And we also talked about the different types of waves. There is the primary wave, which moves the fastest, and it can go through solids, liquids, or gases. Next was your secondary wave, and it travels a little bit slower, and it moves from side to side, and it only goes through solids. Please remember that the way that we find out about where our earthquake started is through a seismograph, which I'm about to talk about in just a minute. We actually take the difference between when the P wave arrived and when the S wave arrived, and we're going to go into that. Don't forget that your Earth has a mantle which has a convection current, and that occurs in the asthenosphere. There is a measurement tool which we use, a seismograph, and like I said, it's going to record when the first P wave started and then of course when the S wave started. And from that we can use this graph here which shows us the P waves and the S waves, and this is a national graph that is used, and all we do is find out the difference between the P and S waves. So let's say that the P wave started at 3 o'clock and the S wave started at 3:05. That's a difference of 5 minutes. So we're going to look on this graph. We're going to start at 0 and go up to 5. And we're going to follow these lines until we get to that right adjustments. Okay? And here there's a difference of 5 minutes. And that tells us that down below it is how far away, and in this case it's a little bit less than 4,000 kilometers from us where the actual earthquake started. Now multiple places will use this graph and do this so that we can get an accurate place of the epicenter. Okay. Here's another picture of a seismograph and the difference between when the S wave started and the P wave started. We actually also talked about magnitudes, okay? And this is your magnitude scale and the differences of what they actually do between 2 and then, of course, when you go up to 7. Okay, there's some dates of the previous earthquakes that we have had in the past. Also, remember that majority of your earthquakes are going to happen around plate boundaries due to faults. Okay. And here is a picture of some earthquake damage, and you notice that most of the damage is definitely going to be happening in California because they're right on a plate boundary line.